I've secretly been mining to 5 different pools and services for 30 days straight on these iPollo miners. So we have Nicehash, unMineable, 2miners auto-converting ETC to Bitcoin, dual mining ETZ with Silica, and finally straight up pool mining ETC on Crazypool. And honestly, the results were way different than I thought and not really close at all. And you could actually be losing out a lot of mining profits by choosing the wrong one. Oh, and by the way, I actually don't have 5 of these, I only have 2. The other 3 were just movie magic. But I'll show you how I was able to do this test accurately anyway, after a quick word from our sponsor. CoinLedger is a crypto and NFT tax software built to save you time and help maximize your tax refund. Thankfully, CoinLedger has made the process of doing this super easy. All you have to do is sign up for an account and link your crypto wallets. That's it. What CoinLedger then does is it looks at the transaction data of those wallets and uses that to automatically generate a tax report for you in your country's local currency. You can then take this report and export it into any tax filing software like TurboTax or TaxAct, or you can send it off directly to an accountant. Best part is that if you use my link in the description below, you can sign up and use CoinLedger entirely for free. And once you're happy with the reports and are ready to export, you can save 10% by using my discount code 𝗧. But that's not all. They're also doing a giveaway where you can win a free $300 tax report. So make sure you click on that link in the video description below for more details. Alright, so we are over on the computer and I have a spreadsheet here, of course, of all of the results. So let's start by going through what was I mining on hardware wise, where were I mining to, and what were the hash rates and setups and all of that stuff quickly. So first of all, I have one column here which is what to mine, which is sort of gonna work as our reference here. So every day I went in and I checked, okay, according to what to mine, how much should I be earning in terms of yield and revenue mining Ethereum Classic with 300 megahash. And the reason for 300 megahash is because I do have the 2 gold iPollos in this test as well. I have 2 of them. They both do 300 megahash, and then I have a black one which does 280 megahash, so very close to 300 there. The first gold one was mining to Nicehash, so I just pointed my iPollo to the ETC hash stratum on Nicehash, which means you are just sending hash rate that way and you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So that's 300 megahash on Nicehash ETC hash stratum. The next gold one was on Flexpool, dual mining Ethereum Classic and Silica. That's also with 300 megahash. We then have the black iPollo with 280 megahash, and I was mining with that on 2miners, where I was mining Ethereum Classic, getting paid out in Bitcoin. So similar setup to Nicehash there, just through 2miners instead of Nicehash. We then have a Jasminer which has 520 megahash, and with that I was doing that same thing of mining Ethereum Classic but getting paid out in Bitcoin, but through unMineable instead. So again, very similar setup, you know, mining Ethereum Classic, getting paid out in Bitcoin, just like I did on the first gold one, the black iPollo, and then now on this Jasminer here. And then finally, just straight up Ethereum Classic mining on Crazypool. So just normal pool mining Ethereum Classic. Now this big Jasminer of course has more hash rate, so that has 1040 megahash. And don't worry, I'm normalizing all of the results, you know, on a per hash rate basis here. So even though they have different hash rates, the results will be as if they all had the same hash rate. So on that note, let me go through how I did this test. And basically what I did was every night at midnight, I went into each of my pools and also onto what to mine to check exactly how much have I mined on each respective pool the previous 24 hours. So we can see here for the very first day, the yield, and that is written down in either Bitcoin or Ethereum Classic, depending on what I was paid out in through that service. So for what to mine, that's obviously Ethereum Classic, because I'm checking how much would you earn mining Ethereum Classic. And we can see it was 0.040506 Ethereum Classic on the very first day of the test. We then have Nicehash, where I made 0.00004736 Bitcoins, because obviously Nicehash, you're getting paid out in Bitcoin. And then Flexpool, 0.035 and so on, Ethereum Classics, and 4.75 and so on, 𝗧𝗢𝗜𝗂. We have 2miners where even though I would be paid out in Bitcoin, 2miners actually report your earnings in Ethereum Classic. So this is specified in Ethereum Classic. Would be great if that was Bitcoin, but unfortunately not. It's not making, what would that be, like 100 times more than the Nicehash one. But yes, so that is specified in Ethereum Classic on the 2miners one. unMineable, it's specified in Bitcoin, which is the coin I set to be paid out in through unMineable. And finally, Crazy Pool is specified in Ethereum Classic. So then what we have here is that day's coin prices if I were to convert my earnings all into Bitcoin. And the reason I would do that on a day-to-day basis here is, of course, just to level the playing field in a way, because obviously they're mining different coins. So you want to see, okay, how much is the value in the same coin, which I chose to be Bitcoin. So here, further down, we can see what was that day's yield if converted to Bitcoin. Obviously for Nicehash and unMineable we don't need to make the conversion, and for the flex pool dual mining Ethereum Classic and 𝗧𝗢𝗂 we need to do 2 conversions, one of the mined Ethereum Classic and one of the mined 𝗧𝗢𝗂, and then we're just adding those together to get the total yield per day per miner, right? But then we also need to solve the issue of them having different hash rates, and it's not that difficult. What we do is just we take this number, we divide it by the hash rate that they have, and then I just multiply that. So that would be, you know, the yield per mega hash. But since that becomes such a tiny number, I'm just multiplying that with 1,000,000 to get the yield per day per terahash, just to get numbers that are easier to look at. It's just not a 0.000, you know, super tiny number. So basically what this row here is if you point 1 terahash of hash rate to each of these services, how much would you yield on that particular day? And then this is just seeing which one did the most, like which service mined the most on that particular day, and then it's just ranking the other ones as a percentage of that. So we can see here on the very first day, Nicehash was the one that mined the most per hash rate. It mined 0.1578666 repeating per terahash in terms of Bitcoin yield when, you know, converted to Bitcoin. And as we can see here, none of the other ones really didn't even come close. The closest one was just 2miners, straight up mining Ethereum Classic and converting to Bitcoin, but that only mined like 86% of the yield that Nicehash did. So in other words, the second best one was still 14% less yield on the very first day than Nicehash was. And then basically what I'm doing here is just to get a different number. If you'd rather look at it in terms of dollar value, I'm converting it to dollars instead. So you can see here, while Nicehash mined, you know, per terahash, $2,608 on that day, theoretically, or well, practically, it's up in the air, right? Like that is how much I made per theoretical terahash, right? I think you get the concept behind this. So if I were to have pointed that same terahash to something like Flexpool, I would have made almost $500 less. And if I would have pointed it to the loser of the day, which was Crazy Pool, I would have made over $600 less. And then of course this is just the total so far. So I also every day added up, you know, the total so far, and then did the same sort of percentage calculation for the total values as well. So you can see here on the second day we're on 0.31, the first day we were on 0.157 and so on. So it's just the growing total of how much you would have mined on each service continuously throughout the 30 days. So if we start scrolling down here a little bit, what we notice is that Nicehash is pretty much almost always the front runner here. It just keeps getting like mining more, yielding more than all of the other services. You have some days where other ones are closed, like here is a closed day, right? Day 7. You have the 2miners and the 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. They're only, you know, 1.5% behind, 2% behind, something like that. But Nicehash just keeps being in front. And we see that almost exclusively throughout the whole period of 30 days here. So instead of me just, well, let me scroll through all of the days really quickly here for those of you who might want to pause and have a look. But then what I'll do, yeah, you can see there are some days here too where unMineable is just extremely bad, like making a third of what Nicehash does. And you can see that again here, making less than half of what Nicehash was. And like I of course double checked on a day. It's not that the miner went down for a few hours or anything like that. It just yielded so much less. It's really not a good look for unMineable. So yeah, scrolling down, we're almost at the bottom here, and you can see we did have some odd day here and there where Nicehash actually wasn't in top. So here we can see Nicehash lagged behind here a little bit on the 28th, where both FlexPool and 2miners were ahead on that particular day. Same on the 29th here with 2miners, and all of a sudden even unMineable being on par with Nicehash on that particular day. We then have one day of 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 taking the lead. Also, if you have any comments on how I did this test, if you feel like there's something I forgot to touch on, please leave those questions in the comments below. Also, if you want to see me do a different test along these same lines of testing something on different pools or whatever for a 30-day period, please leave those suggestions down in the comments as well. But all in all, if we were to look at the total here, so of course I have the complete and full total here. So let's look at that. We have, first of all, the full yield of the whole 30 days, and this is not normalized by hash rate yet, so keep that in mind. It is also specified in the mined coin. So for the Nicehash one, we made 0.00142642 Bitcoin, right? So different currency there. For the FlexPool one, dual mining Ethereum Classic and 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, we made roughly 1.1 Ethereum Classic and 115 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. The 2miners one, even though we had less hash rate, we did make more Ethereum Classic there, 1.117. Of course, we didn't get any 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. Then for unMineable, you can see here that, you know, we have, what is that? Probably 70% more hash rate than the Nicehash one. We only made we made more Bitcoin, obviously, but not at all in relation to the, you know, almost double hash rate that we have on this miner in comparison to the gold iPollo one. And then finally on 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, we made 4.20, what would that be, 24 Ethereum Classic. So that's the total yield, but let's convert it all and normalize it by hash rate, right? Because that is what actually tells us what the results are here. So converted to Bitcoin, I'm not going to go through it all, it's on your screen there. And then finally converted to Bitcoin when normalized by hash rate. So what that means is if you had 1 terahash of Ethereum Classic hash rate and you pointed it to all of these 5 or I guess 6 different mining pools, mining services, whatever you might want to call it, how much would you have made after these 30 days? And this is when you would have converted to Bitcoin daily. We'll get into that a little bit later because that also makes a difference. Are you converting it every single day into Bitcoin, or are you taking the whole of what you mined and converting it on day 30, for example? So, you know, I'm bringing that up because obviously for this one, I'm mining Ethereum Classic and 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, for example. So you need to make the conversion to Bitcoin, and when are you making that conversion? It makes a difference, right? But let's get back on track here. So you can see how much total Bitcoin we would have yielded per terahash. You can then also see converted to US dollars. Now this is not normalized by hash rate yet, but here is. So let's look at these numbers real quick. If you had 1 terahash of hash rate pointing it to each of these 6 different servers as well. You can't technically mine to what to mine, but that is our point of reference, so let's go with it. You can see that there is a pretty large difference here. Nicehash came out on top with almost $94,000, whereas unMineable made this blows my mind. It made almost $20,000 less. That I'm almost speechless to those results. And it is still, like, compared to all the other services, it is still like 10% less. Yes, with Nicehash, it is kind of this whole thing of like, you're not actually getting paid for the coin you mine, rather someone is paying you for the hash rate you're providing, which does make for a different kind of market a little bit. So it makes sense that, you know, maybe through these 30 days of testing, I got paid more for my hash rate because there was a bigger demand of Ethereum Classic hash rate during those days. Who knows, right? But comparing it to all of these, well, I guess 3 other services where you're just straight up mining the coin and getting paid for the coin, why is unMineable still 10% worse? It kind of blows my mind a little bit. But yeah, those are the results when converted daily to Bitcoin. But what if you go and convert on the last day? So you hold and you stack all of the coins you mine to then convert it all to either Bitcoin or US dollars on the very last day of the test. So instead of using daily prices for conversion, I am using just the conversion price of day 30 of the test. And it doesn't change who wins. It's still Nicehash, but you get even more, basically. I guess because Bitcoin increased in price during the period of this test, which also makes this test, in my opinion, more legitimate, because it shows a very real world scenario of prices fluctuating, right? Anyway, other than that, we can see that, yeah, there's a bigger difference in coin prices here, but overall percentages are still kind of, well, the rank of the different services here pretty much stays the same. Nicehash is still performed the best. I don't want to say that Nicehash is the best. It performed the best during these 30 days. And the opposite can be said for unMineable. unMineable performed the worst throughout these 30 days. And then, yeah, the other ones are in between there somewhere. So you can pause the video here to sort of have a real good look at all of the numbers if you want. But in doing this test, I also did I kind of got some fun statistics out of this, which are really interesting. And I made some fun charts as well. And we'll have a look at those in just a minute after a quick word from our sponsor.
Introducing the Octominer OctoTank 12 Home Immersion Cooling System, the future of cryptocurrency mining and home heating. Quiet, cool, and efficient. The OctoTank 12 allows you to overclock your ASIC miners up to 70% to get more performance for your money. Compatible with up to 2 ASICs. Fully plug-and-play system. The immersion system ensures that your miners stay cool. Perfect for garage or basement heating. Up to 150 square meters of heating capacity. Clean and minimalist design. Fully weatherproof. Designed to last for years. Save money while keeping your home warm and cozy this winter. Order yours now.
All right, so let's have a look at these fun stats here. The first one being how many days was each service the best. So kind of like on how many occasions did they win in terms of yield, profitability, whatever you want to call it. And we can see here, 𝗦𝗡𝗏 never overestimated profitability or yield or revenue or whatever you want to call it, right? So one takeaway from this is that almost no matter who you go with, you're probably always going to make a little bit more than 𝗦𝗡𝗏 estimates you to make, which that was a very interesting sort of thing to find out here. And then, no surprise, Nicehash won pretty much 2/3 of the time. On 19 of the 30 days, Nicehash mined the most, which, yeah, crazy. We then have Flexpool mined the most on 4 days, 2miners on 2 days, Crazy Pool 1 on 5 days, and then unMineable did not get a single win throughout the whole period. It was never the best choice throughout the whole of the 30 days, which says a lot, doesn't it? We then have this second statistic here, which is the exact same, just the other way around. How many of these 30 days were the services the worst? So 𝗦𝗡𝗏 predicted less than all 5 other services actually mined 5 of the days. And then even more interesting that Nicehash was literally never the worst option, not even once, as opposed to something like Flexpool, which yes, was the best option on 4 days, but was also the worst option on 4 days. You didn't have 2 miners, best on 2 days, worst on 1 day. unMineable, so sad to see it, worst on 12 days. It was worst on, yeah, like well over 1/3 of the days. And then Crazy Pool, surprisingly, very uneven payouts on Crazy Pool. You have some days where it's the best one, 5 days, and then 8 days where it's the worst one. So very uneven payouts there. And then I just did this, which is basically when converted to revenue per 1 terahash or yield per 1 terahash, what was the best day for each service, what was the worst day for each service, and what was the average yield for each service per 1 terahash per day. So this is all color coded in relation to each other. So you can see the very best here, the very best day throughout the whole test was Nicehash, and the very worst day was unMineable, not surprisingly at all. And then we can see here that the best average is, of course, Nicehash. That makes sense. And the worst average is unMineable. That also makes sense. But what we can also find through these numbers is the variance. So how big are the swings from day to day? This is very interesting to me. So you can see here the 𝗦𝗡𝗏 predictions are actually the most steady ones. 𝗦𝗡𝗏 has a, the predictions 𝗦𝗡𝗏 give you for your profitability or revenue or whatever you want to call it, it only, fluctuates by 18% day on day throughout this test. And you can see also Nicehash was pretty steady at 33% variance. This basically means compared to the average revenue, what was either the lowest it went from there or the highest it went up from there. And I guess either best day was 33% more or the worst day was 33% less. And then we have Flexpool, which was the most steady among all the actual pools with a variance of just 25.9%, 2miners 27.5%, and then unMineable, super low results and also super big variance day to day, because the variance there was 62%, meaning you could be making a certain amount one day and then the next day it made 62% less. So yeah, just bear that in mind. And then finally we have Crazy Pool, which also had a very big variance of 48.7%. Now finally, I have promised you some charts. So here they are. First, I want to show you this daily chart. So this is the daily dollar revenue per 1 terahash per service. And there's also a line up here for the conversion price between Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin, because I feel like that might have affected some of the results here on something like Nicehash, where you're mining Ethereum Classic but getting paid out in Bitcoin. Anyway, as we can see here, when you look at it, it kind of just looks like they're all around the same place here. You have some lines that are obvious outliers, right? Like the green one, which is unMineable. It has 2 very massive dips here. But even though they have those 2 dips, it didn't affect the total result that much. If it would have stayed steady, it would have still kind of been the worst. But the fact that it also did have those dips means that it just made it even worse in reality, right? It's also a little tough to see here maybe, but if you look at this orange line here, which is crazy pool, you can see what I mean with the variance there. It goes up and down, it swings very much. And then of course finally we have something interesting to look at here is the darker blue one, which is Nicehash. And as you can see, while it swings and it looks like it's kind of down here among all the others, it just kind of always trends above all of the other ones. And that is why it was the most profitable. So a even more obvious look into that is if we just take the total over time chart here. So this is just the accumulative, tough word for me to say, accumulative sort of yield, how the yield built over time. And you can see here that, again, Nicehash is the blue line. It started out on top, and the lead just kept widening and widening and widening throughout the whole test. And the absolute opposite happened for unMineable, where it just fell and fell and fell further and further down compared to the other ones. And then you have the other ones that are kind of sticking together in the middle there, not that big of a variance.